Hey friends, it's Leah from Charlie Darwin Textiles. I'm in my sewing room here in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I am about to be buried so deep in so much fabric to dye and iron and pack up to put together all of the sewing kits that you guys have ordered over the past week. Today it is August 5th. About 3 in the afternoon, and I have been so lucky to get way more orders on this sewing pattern than I anticipated. It's going really well. Thank you so much to everyone who's purchased the sewing pattern within this first week. Seriously, I know it's like about you. I'm delivering a service for you. I put in so much work to create the sewing pattern, and I really want it to be about your sewing experience, but just know that on the other side of things, when a launch goes well for something I've been working on for a really long time, it feels so good. And that's kind of, I think, part of the perks of supporting small business is, you know that the person on the other side is really having a good day or a good week when they see your order come through, as compared to when you're, putting it into Amazon or Target or something like that. So anyway, thank you so much. It has been really exciting. But now I have to get to work. I have been dyeing fabric for the past couple days. I had dyed a bunch of fabric like the weeks leading up to this, but not enough because I didn't anticipate I'd get this many orders. I think right now I'm up to 46 sewing kit orders, and luckily I've been outsourcing my indigo dyeing for the last year-ish, and so I actually had enough indigo fabric for 10 dark indigo kits and 10 light indigo kits, and that's already been dyed. I just have to iron it and cut it into the right length. So those two colors are at least half the way done. And then I also have my Kutch Pink, my tea gray, which is like a medium gray, dark chestnut gray, tea brown, and then of course people can buy my other kind of undyed colors. I have bright white, natural off-white, and then a true black, which that one's not plant dyed. And if you're just joining me, you might not know, I hand dye all of my 100% linen fabrics with pigments from plants. It's really fun, and it produces such pretty earth tones. It's a good amount of extra work. It makes the fabric a little bit more expensive, but it makes it that much more rich in color. And if you have skin sensitivities, it could be better for that. And so that's the fabric. That's what we're working on. That's kind of where my head is at right now. I thought it'd be fun to make a video just kind of hanging out with you over the course of this week as I start putting the kits together. I'll share epiphanies or just thoughts about life and fabric and sewing and these kits along the way as they come to me. So I'm dyeing these panels of fabric about 8 or 9 yards at a time. That's about how much I can comfortably fit in my giant dye pot, and also how much I can lift of the wet fabric at a time, because it gets pretty heavy, as you can imagine. And then it's just a matter of parsing it down into smaller pieces. And this is also a really good time for me to go through and double check any imperfections. I kind of get to do that when I'm sending it through the giant iron. But this is kind of a secondary check. Dealing with hand dyeing, especially natural dyeing, there can be all sorts of imperfections, and it's by far the most frustrating part of my job. Point blank, is dyeing a huge piece of fabric and it coming out with some sort of just a spot on it. That can be really challenging. It's pretty difficult, if not impossible, to get spots out of it. And spots happen for all sorts of different reasons. Like it could be that there was a contaminant in the dye pot that like changed the pH on that spot, or there was the dye got kind of concentrated in one spot, and it's just so frustrating if that happens all over. Like before, I've done 8 yards of pink and had it come out and got all these like weird highlighter yellow colored spots all over it. And I still to this day cannot figure out how to get them out. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with that fabric. I can cut around those yellow spots for garments I sew for other people, so that like, you know, it's easy for me to kind of puzzle it together, but I can't really sell it in kits. I'm still, you know, I figure out ways to use the fabric if it disappoints me. And of course there's some level of imperfection that I definitely have to just embrace. And I hope that my customers are kind of on board with that, because if you're not, then you probably shouldn't order naturally dyed fabric for the small level imperfections. Like sometimes if you order from me twice, it might be a slightly different shade of pink each time, or you know, there might be on one end of the fabric slightly darker or something like that, but that's pretty rare that it's got difference within the one piece of fabric itself. Anyway, natural dyes are just funky like that, and it's a part of the work. And of course, over the years, I've gotten so much more consistent. Like I've been doing this for like 4.5 years, and I've dyed so much that I can get it pretty consistent at this point. So the fear does not consume me entirely anymore. And even though the sewing kits are, of course, like harder to deliver as a product than like the PDF pattern or the print of the pattern, because I also outsource my pattern printing to a business down in Texas, and they do it like print on demand for me, which is awesome. So both those things are kind of automated for me, the PDF pattern and the print pattern. The kit is something I'm actually very hands-on with, and as of now, I'm like pretty okay with that, because one of my most, despite the dyeing of the fabric being the hardest part of my business, I think one of the most satisfying parts of my business is like packaging things up. And that sounds super goofy. It just like reminds me of Christmas or something, of just like putting together something super cute for someone, and like, I don't know, like putting all the buttons in the little envelope and all that stuff, and getting the fabric folded up real nice and pretty. It just brings me joy. Can't explain it any other way than that. It makes me feel good things inside. Yeah, this one's got a decent amount of kind of like discoloration on it. Hold it up. I think you can see it on the camera. I think that's really pretty. But I have to make these judgment calls of like, will other people who paid money for this think that's really pretty? I love that look. I think it looks very, like, not necessarily tie-dye, but it looks hand dyed, which adds like a richness to fabric. So I love it, but it might not be the look someone is going for, and it's hard to decide if I want to cut around that and kind of lose that yardage or what. I do think I'm gonna try and put it back into the dye pot. Even though I went through all the work of already ironing it, I think I'm gonna put it back in the dye pot and see if I can get it to even out a little bit. Woohoo! Now I'm gonna be over here working at my giant ironing machine a little bit more. This is where I get all of the wrinkles out of the fabric that's been dyed. Sometimes fabric's a little bit more wrinkly than others. It's ideal if I can get it out of the dryer while it's still a little damp, if I dyed it myself. because this machine doesn't have any steam built into it. You can get ones with steam, but that wasn't what was cheap on eBay, was it? No. So I've got this meal iron, rotary iron off of eBay. I have a whole video about it where I show it off and I'm all jazzed about it. But ultimately, before I send it through, because there's no steam on here, and I'm sending through linen, which linen gets way flatter when you work with steam and have it a little bit damp. So I got this, like, it called it a continuous spray bottle on online. It doesn't continuous that continuously, like, I don't know. It's like a slightly longer spray than a normal spray bottle would be, but it doesn't, I know, beggars can't be chooser, but I want like a thing that just is like shooting steam at it constantly without me doing anything, but I don't even know what that would be. If you know of something, you tell me in the comments, but yeah, we'll just have a fun old time of it, won't we? Do you guys ever just think about how like modern technology is always making tasks go faster? Like I can iron this fabric faster, or like AI could help me edit an email faster, or whatever it is, or edit my YouTube videos faster. But like, it's kind of BS, because it doesn't matter how much faster you go. Everyone else is also going that much faster, and the whole world seems to just be going faster, and like just like actually now requiring more of you in a shorter amount of time. And so nothing actually changes, even though the technology helps you do the thing faster. It's like, now that it's helping you do it faster, you gotta ship it faster, or you gotta make new things faster, or whatever it is. Email back faster. I don't know. And it's nice that some things help you do things faster that you don't necessarily love doing. Like, I don't love ironing fabric, so I'm definitely glad I have this machine to help me do it faster. But unless you're intentional about it, ironing faster doesn't buy you more free time to enjoy your personal life, unless you make it, you know, like unless you're intentional about it. And so I think something I'm trying to be really intentional about as like technology and society continues to change, and as I upgrade maybe supplies for my business that help me do things faster, try to be intentional with actually using that extra spare time for me, or for things that like really do feel fulfilling to me, and not just filling that time with more work or more just like pushing things out at a more rapid pace, and just doing more of it. Does that make sense? But you know, it also takes a lot of discipline to say, okay, these tools maybe shaved an hour off my day. I'm gonna actually use that hour on things I love doing for myself, on my own personal life. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments if you have any. I feel like it's confusing and exciting, an exciting time to be alive, where there are a lot of tools that can help us speed up processes we don't love as much. But what are we using that spare time for? Ooh, the burning questions. Hey, it's, I think, literally 2 weeks later since I last filmed. It's like August 20th today. I am still, believe it or not, putting together sewing kits from the Finch launch. This, I did not anticipate it would take this long. I'm not super behind necessarily on orders. The orders I'm shipping out today are like for Jessica, Heather, and Annette. They placed their orders around like August 11th, 12th, 13th. So I'm right at the tail end of when I would hope to get them shipped out anyway. But wow, woo, oh my God. So I just did the math before turning the camera on, and I have put together at least 67 sewing kits in the last 2 weeks. I straight up stopped filming because like I think I showed myself ironing and like prepping the fabric a bit, but I just did not film putting together 67 kits because the energy, I don't need a camera in my face for that. Let's just put it that way. It was a lot to put together, and it was really fun because I think I mentioned earlier in this video, I love the packaging stage. It's seriously one of my favorite parts about my business. So I've loved putting the kits together, but I needed to work quicker than the camera could allow. So here we are. I'm going to put together 3 tea gray kits right now. Generally for the last 2 weeks, what I've had is a lot of my stuff prepped ahead of time. Like I need to put my boxes together. They start off flat when they're shipped to me, and then I created this cute little label to go on the back of the box. Made by Earth, sewn by you. And so I get all this stuff kind of like prepped ahead of time and get it laid out on the table. I'm gonna start putting these together and just tell you a little bit more about what I've sort of learned from this sewing pattern launch. And I try and keep my channel really sewing focused, not business focused. But I don't know, some of you just like to know behind the scenes. And so I want to share some of that for you. And you also are probably a little bit invested in the future of my business and where it's going, because I'm creating products that you love and you want to use. And I want to make sure I keep creating them for you in the right way for both of us. So here we go. So I have marked all of the sewing kits and fabric out of stock on my website for now. So I'm even debating like why put up this video. It's probably going to entice anyone who hasn't bought a kit to get a kit from me. But they're out of stock at this exact moment. Check back if you're watching this in the future. They will be back in stock again. This is not permanent. It's just because I need a freaking break from the fabric part of my business. It's very physically intensive, which is fine, but I need a break from it. Real quick, some of the struggles I have faced during this pattern launch. Maybe I should actually start with the good parts. Let's start with the good parts. The good parts are it exceeded my high goal for like financially and how many people I could help with this pattern. So that's awesome. Super excited about that. And my website did not crash as far as I know. None of you told me that it crashed. So almost every pattern launch, there's something like annoying that happens on my website that makes it not work well when I'm launching a new product. And so many people have already gotten, now that we're like, the pattern launched almost 3 weeks ago, there are so many people who've already made the sewing pattern and have sent me photos or uploaded reviews or added it to the community pattern photo gallery, which you can find on my website. And so I'm already seeing so many cool pictures roll in, which I'm loving. Thank you so much for everyone who uploads words or photos or videos. We're all so grateful because it helps everyone sort of get a better bird's eye view on like what is possible with this pattern, what fabrics they could use, what adjustments they might want to make based on body sizes. And so it just really helps everyone. So thank you so much for everyone who's uploaded. And then another great thing that has come out of this experience for this pattern is that it's really kicked me into high gear on making some very necessary changes to my business, which might interest you. because there were some real struggles along the way that I, gosh dang it, am not going to let happen again on the next sewing pattern. And so this has been a real exercise in brainstorming like new systems and ways of doing things that will hopefully cut out more errors in the future. So for instance, I struggled this time. I did prepare fabric ahead of time, like hand dyeing it in my personal dye studio with pigments from plants. It's very special, very nice fabric. It's so pretty. It's worth the work, but I didn't prepare enough because obviously I didn't know I was going to get this many orders. And so I had to just keep dyeing fabric over and over and over again. I can dye about like 8 or 9 yards at a time comfortably, and each kit requires a little over 2 yards of fabric. So I have been just dyeing so much fabric down there, and with just like some like my current health issues. I talked in a previous video about having POTS. It just makes my heart rate go up and makes me feel really bad if I'm around high temperature. All right, so I blabbed on there for another while, but my microphone actually died. So the good news is I'm coming back at you a couple days even later to finish up this little vlog post. To jump right back where I was talking and my audio cut off was I have POTS, which I've talked about in a previous video, but it just makes my heart feel really shitty if I'm in hot environments where I might be like bending over or standing for long periods of time. It screws with basically my blood pressure and my heart rate, and it feels terrible. So the dyeing, the work I have to do downstairs, while I may be dyeing fabric, it feels like I am literally dying myself in my body, because it's just a lot of heavy, hot work. And so I don't really want to do that anymore. And I am so excited because this was the straw that broke the camel's back. You guys had so many orders for the sewing kits, and that was so exciting for me. But it came with this pain of like this growing pain of I've gotta change something because I actually don't love this part of my business anymore. And I love providing naturally dyed fabric because I think it's definitely underrepresented in the fabric world, in the sewing world, in the clothing world. It's basically dyeing fabric with pigments from plants. It's also not super scalable. So I know it's something that you can scale up to a certain extent, but as far as it ever being in like a Walmart where it's accommodating to the masses, to the millions and billions of people, it's probably not going to get to that point, but it really lowers the amount of pollution going into the environment based on the chemicals in the dye. And some people have sensitivities to certain dyes, and so the plant dyes can be a great alternative. And they're just so pretty. And the concept of feeling more connected to earth stuff, you can't really necessarily put a price on that. It's like you get to wear plants on your clothes, and you're wearing the linen, which is the flax plant. You're wearing maybe tea or chestnuts that's colored it, and it just is a vibe, man. It's just a vibe. And so I'm a little bit unwilling to stray away from the plant dyes, but I am willing at this point to stray away from me putting the plant dyes on the fabric. So I am excited to outsource that work to someone who has a better setup for it and can really help us out by doing it for us. So I actually just shipped out 180 yards of fabric of undyed white fabric to be plant dyed in 5 different colors. I'm so excited to reveal them to you soon. Some of them will be the same that I've had before, and some of them will be changing They're gonna be really vibrant and bold. I'm so excited about it. I got the swatch book from the business who's doing it for me, and their colors are just so much more bold than mine. Well, let's see. I actually don't want to spoil it because I haven't gotten the fabric back yet. And so watch, I get it back and it's like not as bold as the samples or something. So I don't want to spoil it, but I am feeling optimistic. I feel like a huge weight has lifted off of me, that it was just kind of dragging my energy down in this business on something I really want to offer, but I really don't want to be the one to make it. I should probably make a whole nother video about my switch to the new fabric, but just short version is that I'm hoping in a more like controlled setting where these people are doing it all the time and they have all their zones, there should be a little bit better quality control on if there's beauty marks on the fabric or not. I sometimes have yardage that comes out splotchy or just with imperfections on it that I truly can't send to my customers. And so I kind of keep it off in the background and I use it for my own personal projects, but it's frustrating to have to burn through that fabric like that. So hopefully sending it to someone who can just do it better than me will also pay off in the long run. Now, another bottleneck that happened with this launch was that I got frustrated about my thread supply. So I basically have been, I color matched all of my cotton threads to my plant-dyed linen colors. That took me a while back in the spring. I was going to Joann's. Rest in peace. I was going to Joann's in person and I was just comparing the thread to my plant-dyed fabric in person. It was so simple and I would just order it online on Joann's to order more and restock. And then of course, Joann's had to bail on us. And so I have had to really suffer through on this pattern launch trying to source the thread that I promised, that I love, the Gutermann brand cotton thread. I have had to really struggle through finding good sources of it online at a decent price. And I think this time it was just hard. I kept getting on different like kind of quilter websites, and those are the only real people like selling this thread. And there's mood.com and they sell it, but it doesn't matter who it is. They always would have just like somewhere between like 0 and 10 spools of thread in stock. And sometimes I need much more than that for fulfilling these kits. So this time I think it was frustrating enough that I am going to have the bravery to at least email the company that I buy the thread from, because they don't have like a website where you can just buy the thread just online and have it shipped to you, which is frustrating. So I'm going to email them and see about how I can source this directly from them, get consistent colors at a consistent price, get enough of them. Maybe they can send me swatch cards because I'm gonna have to match it now to this new plant-dyed fabric. But yeah, the thread was another challenge on this one. And I've said this, I've apologized over email as well to people, but if you got your kit a little bit later than you anticipated, like I try and get them out within a week, and some people's I did, but some people's it ended up being 2, maybe even 3 weeks before their kit shipped out, just because something went wrong with the dyes, or I was out of stock on the thread, or I was waiting on like paper patterns to arrive. But this also just came down to not knowing I was going to get this many orders on this launch. Great problem to have. Very excited. So thank you so much. Honestly, you all are giving me those happy growing pains of like, okay, I think I need to step it up, my systems and processes and my inventory a little bit more to be able to accommodate for how many people I'm able to reach and how many people I'm able to help through my sewing patterns, my YouTube videos. I am getting to that next stage of I'm helping so many more people, which also means I need a little bit more help myself as well. So we're going to be experimenting with all of that and the mindset that comes along with that over the next several months, probably years in the future. But I am working on it and I'm excited. And honestly, I do have one specific question for you all. If anyone knows by chance how to source Gutermann thread directly, and you have or you have a source where I could get a ton of it, please let me know. I would love to know. The cotton one. It's the cotton thread. All right, so those are a lot of the struggles. There was also some conundrums with of course, sometimes there's little file issues, or this time around there was something with a lot of people couldn't get the A0 to print, and it was just a pesky thing with my logo was placed weird on one layer of size 2 on the PDF for the A0 pattern file. And it's just stupid stuff like that where I have to go in and spend hours after publishing the pattern. I have to go in and be like, why can't people print this? And do a lot of Googling, a lot of clicking around, realizing it was just my logo was overlapping something in size 2 in a weird layer. So, and I do all my pattern making in Adobe Illustrator. So if any of that lingo makes sense to you, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it's been a journey. Every pattern has some technical issues, and not to dissuade you from ever getting one of my patterns. I hope that you see this as, hey, she's really responsive when there are technical issues. I tried to work really quickly to get everything fixed up because it's just inevitable. I think in 2025, we have so many tools to help us do things smoother and quicker, but we also have a lot of booby traps to put ourselves in of expecting more out of ourselves and our relationship to technology. Okay, I'm rambling. This has been a lot of fun to film some of this process at least and show you behind the scenes. I'm so excited to see where all of this takes us together. I love having you guys as a community sort of help me form this business and help me kind of create the resources a little bit in conjunction with you and for you, so that you get the best experience. So I truly appreciate all your feedback and your really positive feedback as well. It has boosted me in, times like these are a little bit stressful, and getting positive feedback from you guys is oh, thank God. I don't have a boss to tell me I'm doing a good job. I just have me, and sometimes my brain's a little too tired too. So hearing it from you all, it means so much, and truly appreciate it. If you want to stay connected as we work through what the next sewing pattern is going to be, what the new dye colors are going to be for the fabric, and much, much more sewing tips and fun inspiration, go ahead and sign up for my email newsletter over at charliedarwintextiles.com/newsletter sign up. It's a fun time. I get lots of really good feedback from people saying they love the newsletter. They love that it feels so fresh and relatable, and it just gets them inspired and feel more connected to people who share their aesthetics and their values and interests in the world. So I'm excited to be there with you. I'll see you over there, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!